Wonderful. We are live and so happy to see you all this morning. Welcome to a Bumpwise Coffee Morning from a different location. Today we're at Diana's house, which is beautiful, as you can see, and she's going to join us in a little while too. And we have a very exciting guest talking about a subject that comes up all the time. Thank you, Violeta, for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure. I'm really excited for this talk and sharing with all of you what I know, and that is based on what we people, psychologists, generally know for a while. So I think this is a very important topic, and I'm really happy that I can share.
Amazing. Because my voice is letting me down a little bit. I'll introduce yourself to start with. Tell us what you do. You're also obviously a Bumpwise mama. So you're not just talking from a theoretical perspective, but you have hands-on experience in putting to practice what you're going to teach us today.
Yeah. And I would definitely share with you a lot of personal things as well from that journey. So I totally get it, what it's like to be a mom.
So what is you're a counselor? Tell us a little bit about how where you are now.
Yes, so I am a counselor. I work at the other clinic, which is one of the, you know what, maybe I can just start sharing the screen and have all of that information. Yeah, would be good. Okay, let me just do that. All right. So here we go. All right. Okay, so yeah, I'm a counselor at the other clinic, and my name is Violeta Tsolova. I work with a lot of teens, with parents and with adults on all kinds of issues. And I work at the other clinic, which is this very, very big clinic. We are based in this beautiful heritage house in Geylang. And I love working with my colleagues, all of us very, very friendly, very committed professionals to basically making mental health something not to be ashamed of, right? And to talk about it and really be there for our clients and basically the community. So as a mom and as a professional myself, I'm really passionate about this topic of raising emotionally healthy children. And I really want to share with you all the knowledge that we have based on decades of research, and maybe hopefully help all of you guys who are here watching think through and get better tools in helping you to cope with the challenges we all face as parents.
I love that. Thank you for this. I just wanted to quickly interrupt and say,
of course, please do.
Parents on the call, feel free to put any questions you have in the chat. There will also be a Q&A at the end. And Violeta is really also hoping to get a lot of interaction. We'll have some questions for you to make it a little bit more interactive rather than just frontal style teaching. But yeah, we're super excited to learn, because I think as parents, we always have to be better, right? We need to evolve as well. We're thrown into this job role of being a parent without actually knowing what we're doing. And I think we have a big remit in raising healthy and happy children, actually, because that's what it's all about. I don't care if my kids become lawyers or doctors or whatever, as long as they are really happy and grounded and feel secure in themselves as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I agree 100% with what you're saying. And like you said, I would really like to make this a little bit more interactive. So I am going to start you off with a question. And please feel free to chat, write in the chat, all of those questions. If you have some answers, if you want to participate, no pressure to do that as well either. But I'm wondering about this. Has this happened to you? You're about to leave home and you have your young child come crying, pulling you back, saying, Mama, Papa, don't go. Or maybe if they're not verbal, just being very emotionally dysregulated and distressed. And so it's very difficult, that situation, because on one side you have to be somewhere, right? But on the other side, your child clearly needs you. And so a roller coaster of emotions starts. You know, all these feelings of guilt and fear and anger and shame and frustration, sadness, anxiety, you feel it all. It is very hard to be a parent. You know, if your child, say, gets sick, you take them to the doctor, they give them medication, and hopefully in a few days, your child is fine. But what do we do when our kids have a tantrum or a meltdown or any challenging behavior? There is no necessarily a manual to that. So my goal for today is to help you exactly with that. And I want to maybe ask you another question. Maybe that situation doesn't necessarily apply to you. Maybe your child is younger, maybe your child is older, but I'm wondering, what are the challenging behaviors that you have recently faced with your kid? Maybe you can input that in the chat, something that recently has happened, something that you are currently struggling with, just anything that comes to mind. And I'm not really sure I can see the chat. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Otherwise, I can read it out. Tantrums and hitting when we set boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's definitely, especially if your child is around, you know, that age. There's a specific age around 2 years when they start hitting a lot, and tantrums are so common. Yeah. Then I see our bub is 13 to 14 months old. She's been screaming when she doesn't get her way immediately, and also throwing food. Yeah, that's definitely a tantrum. Gets very frustrated when she can't execute a task, cries, gets angry. Yeah, that's difficulty tolerating frustration, right? Not sure if she even understands that we are telling her no. Okay, yeah. Nervous to go to school, feeling worried about starting school. Oh yeah, it's a common one, right? That separation anxiety, right? Tantrums or lying down on the floor, spread out when she doesn't get the item or thing she wants, 14 months old. Yeah. Putting everything in her mouth. Yeah, we try the tone change when we say no, but she just smiles at us. Oh yeah. It's very hard, especially at this age. And I get the sense that the parents here, your kids are more or less around probably the same age, from 1.5 to maybe 2.5, 3 years old. At this point probably is especially if they're not verbal, it may look like they don't really understand a lot of what we are saying, and whatever we are saying, they just get happy, right? That they get the attention. So yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's very, very tough. It's very tough. So thank you for sharing all of that. And, you know, I want to talk exactly about how being a parent is very hard, and figuring it out is even harder. And you are not alone in this. We all struggle with these challenges. And the goal for today, the goal that I have, is to hopefully help you, you know, see things in a different way, reflect on what it means to be a parent and how to hold boundaries, right? That's a very important thing. So, you know, what we will talk about today is that it feels like we live in a world where things are either set, like you should do it this way, or on the opposite, it's like, you know, you should just trust your gut. Just go with, you know, what your gut tells you. But how do you trust your gut when you're doing this for the first time, let's say, or you don't have much experience, or you can't even really hear your gut? Or also, how can you trust that what the experts are telling you is the right thing for you and your child? And it feels like we need to choose. But I want to tell you that you don't have to choose, and there's a middle ground. And we will talk about that today. We will talk about how there is knowledge and there are certain frameworks that we can use that are based on many decades of research. But also you can develop the tools, you can learn the tools to be able to trust your gut and do what's right for you and your family. And that middle ground is circle of security parenting, which is what we will talk about today. And so before we talk about circle of security, we need to talk about attachment theory, because circle of security parenting, or COSP for short, is very much based on attachment theory. And I know that it might be, for some of you, something that you have heard of, maybe for others, it's something you're hearing for the first time. So I just want to know a little bit about kind of what is your knowledge around that? Do you have a knowledge? Do you know what attachment is? Attachment styles, yeah, question mark, yeah. Yeah, so you know something around attachment, yeah, okay, that there are different styles of attachment, that's true, and we will talk about that. Secure and insecure, yes, that's right. Yeah, we will talk about that. Attachment is having an attachment to a primary caregiver, yes, exactly. Yeah, someone is saying avoidant, dependent, etc. Yes, yeah, that's right. Child's preference to one parent can actually make them emotionally stable later in the years. That's exactly right. Yeah. Safe space, exploring their boundaries. Yeah. Yeah. Secure emotional and safe attachment. Yes, that's the goal, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, you're all right. Very good. So you definitely have quite a lot of experience, knowledge about that. And so maybe we can talk about that. You are right. You know, attachment theory is understanding about how the emotional bond that we have with our kids affects their development, emotional, psychological, social, but also even physical. And it's all about how the relationships that we build at a young age shape who we become as adults. And so securely attached children trust their caregivers, that they will be there for them when they need. And secure attachment is formed when, you know, we parents respond to our kids' needs consistently. And that teaches them not only trust, but also safety and connection. And so, you know, that would be an example of a secure attachment would be, you know, think about going to the playground and seeing this child, maybe that's your child, maybe that's, you know, somebody else's child. They are, you know, very courageous. They go out there, explore, they climb, they do things, but at the same time, they also check in with their caregiver, you know, so they know that the caregiver is there and they can always reach out to them. Now, on the other hand, we have, there are two types of, like someone mentioned, attachment styles, right? Secure and insecure. And we will talk exactly about that. So we explored what secure attachment is, but there is also the insecure attachment. And sorry, there's a little bit of a mix with my slides, but that's okay. I'll just go back into the secure attachment again and talk a little bit more about that, because what is also important is that how it forms, kind of what are the benefits of having a secure attachment is that, you know, better emotional regulation throughout life and higher self-esteem, ability to have healthy, empathic relationships where people who have secure attachment are able to go to others and ask for help with their emotions, but also can hold that space for others as well. And so that helps them build really good social connections and adjust better into the world, as well as have good behavior or behavior that, you know, allows them to connect and to us as parents and others. On the other hand, the insecure attachment is just the opposite of that. Insecure attachment happens when your child consistently feels unsafe and not understood and not valued. And that is because the parent usually has the caretaking of the parent is very inconsistent, very unresponsive, and maybe sometimes even unavailable. One of the disadvantages or the bad things that happens when we have insecure attachment is that there is an increased risk of anxiety, depression, difficulty regulating emotions as a whole. And that often leads to low self-esteem, feelings of being unworthy, and consequently difficulty forming and maintaining healthy relationships because it's hard to trust. People with insecure attachment often have fear of rejection, abandonment, and often that leads to problems with intimacy and being able to rely on others. In kids, we see that as problematic behavior like aggression or defiance or withdrawal of generally, being kind of isolated, self-isolating. It leads to poor coping mechanisms and struggling to handle stress. So again, going to the playground, maybe you have seen that child that always cries, or maybe that child that doesn't play ever with other kids and just wants to be on their own, or, these are some of the kind of visualization of how insecure attachment may look like. And now I imagine that talking about that is quite distressing. When we think about, oh my God, like, what does this mean? Where is my child? Is my child insecure or securely attached? So also, it's important to say that the insecure attachment is different types of insecure attachment. I think someone mentioned that in the chat. We will not go into that as of now because of, I want to make sure that we cover other things, but let me know at the end of the Q&A if you actually want to talk about that. I can tell you more about anxious, ambivalent, avoidant, and disorganized attachment. But I want to check in again. How are you feeling right now in one word? I can imagine that you are thinking about, how is my child on the playground, right? Is it the child that is always crying, or is it, the child that doesn't want to play with anyone? So I want to check in again with you. So let me know how you are feeling, and I'll try to find the chat again so I can see your answers. Worried. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can totally get that. Intrigued, anxious, concerned about my kid. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Thank you everyone for sharing that. Just worried about my own attachment style because of the way I was raised, impacting my own kid. Yeah, that's a real concern. Welcome to parenthood, I guess. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, very well put. Very well put. Intergenerational trauma. Yeah, okay. Yeah, big word. Yes. Wondering, do I need my own therapy before I can parent properly? Okay, okay. Yes, these are very, very valid questions. And these are very, very valid emotions that we're all feeling. Worry, anxiety, concern. These are very real. And they are something that we feel every day as parents. But let me maybe put your minds to ease a little bit and let you know that there are good news. First of all, just the fact that you are here and you want to learn more and be a better parent, the fact that you worry about that, the fact that you want to have the tools to not, bring to your child that transgenerational trauma that has been going on for generations in your own family. That already means that you are on the way to becoming a better version of yourself as a parent. And so wanting to be there is what is really important, and it's the most important first step. I also want to let you know that we are not aiming to be perfect. We are aiming to be good enough, because perfect doesn't exist. And, you know, we live in a world where perfection is embraced and desired and wanted at all times. Think about social media. Think about, you know, at work you go, you want to present the best version of yourself, right? The perfect version of yourself. A lot of us are perfectionists, but we need to strive for good enough. And we will talk about good enough in Circle of Security Parenting a lot, what that looks like. And the idea behind is that we need to be consistently trying to be there most of the time, not 100% of the time, because it's just not possible to be 100% there. But also, it's all about coming from a place of reflecting rather than blaming. When we reflect, we really think about what is better, what is, you know, how can we be better? How can we improve? How can we learn? We open our minds when we reflect. Yes, it provokes a lot of feelings, a lot of anxiety, but it leads to better version of ourselves. Now, when we blame, be it ourselves or our children, we close ourselves. We feel less in control. We feel like, you know, we cannot learn and grow and change that situation. So what you're doing right now, reflecting, thinking, this is good, this is what we want, and this is what Circle of Security Parenting is all about, helping you reflect and not put blame. Also, I want to let you know that attachment is something that is fluid, and it's not set. It changes over time, and it can be strengthened. It's never too late. It's never too late. Even with teens, we can work on, you know, helping them improve and helping improve that bond between us and them, even in their teenager years. Of course, if you start earlier, that's much better. But my point is, it can be changed. So maybe we can get to it, and maybe I can tell you a little bit about what Circle of Security is. It is a visual map and parenting approach that is designed to help you understand and respond better to your child's needs. It is developed by psychologists, and it's based on decades of research in exactly attachment theory. What I love about it is that it simplifies complex you know, ideas into a very easy to use framework. And at its core, it's basically illustrates the balance between the child's need for independence when they go out into the world and their need for connection when they want to come back to us. And it encourages us to find that balance by looking at what our kids need in each moment. So I want to share with you a video. It's a short video that describes what Circle of Security Parenting is. And maybe it can give you a good idea. So watch with me.
Violeta, is there supposed to be sound?
Oh, sorry, there is no sound?
No.
Oh, thank you
Again.
for letting me know. Okay. I'm not really sure. You cannot hear it, yes?
No.
No, we can't hear anything.
Okay. Okay, give me just a second. I'm not sure why. So let me try. Let's try this. Can you hear now?
Parents.
Yes, we can.
Can you hear now?
No, wait.
It's dropped off again.
That'd be really helpful.
Violeta, someone was saying you will have to click share.
I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear us? Someone was saying have to click share sound when you go into presenting mode.
Sorry, I need to what?
You need to click share sound when you go into presenting mode on your presentation.
Okay. Give me just a second.
I think you need to stop sharing the screen and then share again. This time, clicking in the box, there is a little tick box that says share the sound. And this way you will be able to share the sound.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I love that we have tech support on the call.
That's amazing. Thank you, guys. Let me do that again. Okay. Okay, so I am not sharing, right?
No, now you're not sharing.
Okay, so let's try that again. So share screen. We have it. Share sound. Oh yeah, there you go. I found it. Yeah. Okay, and then share. Okay.
With the
Let's try
advice
this
of
out. Can you
others
hear?
and our own instincts and beliefs about what is best.
Can you hear
still,
that?
we so often worry that we're not. Parents, we all wonder if we're getting it. Parents, we all wonder if we're getting it
Sorry. Okay, yes, you can. Okay, great. Thank you.
right. We want to know we're meeting our children's needs, helping them grow, and giving them all that we can. We try to combine our own experience of being parented with the advice of others and our own instincts and beliefs about what is best. And still, we so often worry that we're not succeeding. In a world that is always offering the next best parenting solution, the circle of security is based on decades of attachment research. Unlike many behavioral perspectives, it offers relationship tools to provide a new way of understanding your children's needs, creating lasting security for them and more satisfaction for you. The circle graphic has been created to help you know what to look for, so you can read your children's behavior to guide you in meeting their needs. It's really not complicated. People of all ages have attachment needs. These needs can be divided in 3 ways. Let's look at this child. First, he needs to know the freedom and confidence to go out and explore his world. Second, he needs to feel assured that whenever he's ready, he can come back for comfort and protection. Third, he needs his caregiver to be in charge in a kind way. 3 basic needs that can be thought of as going out on the circle, coming in on the circle, and hands on the circle. Let's have a look in more detail. Feeling safe and supported, our children want to discover their world. When going out, they need to know that their exploration is encouraged, that we're right there watching over them, delighting in them, offering help when needed, and ready to enjoy their new adventures with them. And when they're coming in, they need us to refill their emotional cup. This means organizing their emotions and letting them know we are delighted to welcome them back, protect, comfort, and understand them. The key for us as parents is to remain strong and kind while knowing when to encourage their going out into the world and how to be available to welcome them back to us. It's crucial that we learn to identify our children's needs like this, because misreading them, or worse, missing them altogether, can cause pain and frustration. We all know how uncomfortable it can be to be held too close when we want to be out exploring, or kept at a distance when we need emotional support, or simply to be without someone who is bigger, stronger, wiser and kind, who we can trust to understand what we need when we're feeling lost, confused, or out of control. When a child misbehaves, the cause is often rooted in how safe and secure they're feeling. So it's not surprising that they behave well when a parent learns to tune into their child's needs on the circle in this way. And because our needs on the circle never disappear, learning to read cues can help you better understand and meet the needs of people of all ages, including your own. So that's all there is to it. Just know that at any given moment, your child is somewhere on the circle asking you to meet a need. Support my going out. Welcome my coming in. Be the hands that keep me safe by staying in charge and committed to helping me feel connected. And please remember this, there's no such thing as perfect parenting. At Circle of Security, we've come to realize that good enough is, well, good enough. All of us are going to miss needs on the circle time and again. Welcome to the club. But if we meet our children's needs enough of the time, the results will be happier, healthier, more secure children, and parents too.
Okay. All right, so I want to ask you again, if you were to choose one challenging behavior right now with your child, what would that be that you really want help with? I'm willing to say that probably many of you would say tantrums, but I would urge you to be a little bit more specific. What does a tantrum look like? Know that we are here even if we are not staring at her, if it is possible. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you want to make sure that your child knows that they're there, you are there, even if you're not on her. Hitting when any boundaries are set, it's really hard. I hear you, definitely. Staying open and understanding during a tantrum or meltdown, especially when crying loud and the sound makes me want to shut them out. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's the story of being a parent, right? Sometimes we just get overloaded ourselves. Our helper leaving, oh no. And if he feels like he's lost his primary caregiver, yeah, that's a good question. Hitting as the first reaction when toddler is upset. Yeah, so we have hitting again. Okay. Okay, yeah, these are all very valid and very unfortunately common challenges that we have. For us, it's her shyness. I'm worried that this is linked with self-esteem. Okay, yeah, okay. All right, thank you for sharing all of that. Thank you for all your questions and sharing and participating. We will go back to that. So let's look at some of those examples through the lens of, circle of security parenting. If we are to look at these challenges from a point of what your child needs, are they at the top of the circle? The top is when the child is going to explore, right? And they need you to watch over them, they need you to delight in them, they need you to maybe sometimes help you or just enjoy with them. Or are they at the bottom of the circle when they need protection, comfort, and organization of their feelings, but also delighting you as well when they're coming back to you for all of that? So looking back at some of the problems that you shared, knowing that we are there even if we're not staring at her, yeah. In that moment, she is at the top of the circle, right? She's out in the world exploring. And so when she reaches out to you, you can be there for her and show her that you are there. So that would be your child at the top of the circle. Hitting would be most likely your child at the bottom of the circle because they feel most likely anger, frustration, they're upset in some way. And they maybe want you to comfort them, or maybe they want you to organize their feelings. and understand what is happening. What is this emotion? It's so weird. Tantrum and meltdown, yeah, same thing. Basically your child is at the bottom, right? So how do you deal with that? And I know I'm not answering your questions right now. I just want us to see it from the perspective of where on the circle they are. We will come back to those questions. I want to make sure that we have them answered. And if I don't by the end of the presentation, please raise them again at the Q&A and let's discuss. So helper leaving. Oh yeah, that is a hard one, because your child will most likely need more of you in that case, and will be more on the bottom of the circle, asking you to organize that feeling of sadness that they have, or just to comfort them, because the helper is leaving. Hitting again, we discussed the shyness. Yeah, I would really want to learn more about that, what exactly that looks like, and if it is shyness when it comes to being out with adults, or is it with children, other children. Also, just to say that being shy for kids, it's normal developmentally, depending on the age. At some point, especially after around like 1.5 years old, kids tend to get very shy. So that's not necessarily related to self-esteem. It might be just a phase that they go through. But what basically we're doing here is trying to understand where your child is at, because children show us what they want, and they do that through their behavior. If your child is on the playground and then turns towards the back to see where you are, they're basically at the top, right? They're exploring, but they want to make sure you're there and you take care of them, right? Or when they are coming to you crying and overloading you sensory wise, that's them just trying to cope with their behaviors. And when we understand, where they're coming from and what is the need, we can respond to that need better. So I want to give you an example. I want to go back to that example I gave you in the beginning. Remember that crying child that is very distressed because you were leaving, and all she wants is for you to stay back home. So we may see that as a tantrum, or a bad behavior that we want to fix. How do I stop this? Oh my God, right? It's too much. And when we look at the circle, and I'll go back to the circle. When we look at the circle, where do you think she is? She most likely is at the bottom, right? She's feeling something. She's feeling anxious and scared and lost. And, she just wants to have someone organize that feeling for her. She wants to connect with you. And so when we do that, when we understand that all she wants is connection and comfort, it becomes easier for us to respond, because it's not about what she kind of like wants and, this bad behavior. It's about, okay, she needs something. Now, we will go back to that example again and again. We will give kind of like a solution or a way to deal with that. But before that, I want to give you another tip and talk about something else we talking at COSP Circle of Security Parenting. And that is all about, has everything to do with just understanding yourself. Remember, we were talking about kind of the importance of reflecting. And so if you think about it, parenting is a lot like riding a bicycle. You don't learn how to ride a bicycle by reading a manual, right? And like, no, you try. You build experience by trial and error. You fall down from the bike and you get up again and you try it. And then all of these experiences come to build what we call procedural memories. And those procedural memories help you when you get on the bike, not to think, okay, left pedal, right pedal, keep it straight, right? It just comes natural. So that's all great when it comes to riding a bicycle, but maybe not so much when it comes to parenting, because we tend to not really think about what we are doing when we parent. because we just do what our parents did or what we read that we should do, or maybe what worked with our eldest child. And at COSP, we urge you to reflect and think about what works for you, for your child, for your family. Where are you coming from when you make a decision, when you have respond to a behavior? We are made up of all our values and experiences and honestly, traumas and everything that builds who we are reflects how we parent. And when we take a moment and understand what is actually happening for us, when our child is crying again and is overloading us, we can react better because we are not reacting like that, right? We take a moment, we take a breath, and we reflect what is happening for me right now. So let's go back to that child. She's crying, she is distressed, she's at the bottom of the circle, and she wants to connect with you in a time that you don't have time to do that. So remember that whole range of emotions that we were talking about, guilt and anxiety, frustration, all of that, right? You feel all of that. And it's very hard to react from a place of understanding when you yourself are overloaded by all these emotions. And most likely in that situation, what is happening for you is you are flooded by memories about your own childhood. So let's say if you were, when you were a child, you were left alone a lot by your parents and you felt abandoned. When your child does that, you would instantly remember the feeling of being abandoned, and you would feel like your child now feels abandoned, right? So what you want to do, you want to stay home. You cancel your plans and you will be like, no, I need to be there for her. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you were left alone a lot, but the message you got from your parents was that you have to deal with it. And at some point you grew to be okay with that. And so if you come from that place, then it will be hard for you to understand what the big deal is, right? Why is she crying so much? It's fine. Maybe you leave without saying goodbye. The problem with doing things without reflecting is that we often get frustrated at the outcome. And with that come a lot of other emotions that we didn't actually expect we would feel. So let's say if you left, if you stayed and you didn't leave, you may become resentful. Oh my God, my child wins again. She does this every time. Or maybe if you left without saying goodbye, you may be consumed with guilt. Oh my God, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. Or maybe even anger. My child ruined my mood again. So before choosing how to deal with our child, we need to understand what happens for us and reflect on that so that we can respond from a place of where our values are, not from our history. With a place of, when we come from a place of reflection, we feel more in control. We have a choice of how we want to react. Keep that in mind. We'll go back to our crying child. But I want to ask you, what is when was the last time that you reacted in less than ideal way to your child, and kind of what was the trigger for you in that moment? Okay, sorry. Let me just put it back. I'll just stop and start again. I am really bad with technology, it seems. Just give me a moment, sorry. Okay. There we go. Okay. So let me just see your. Okay. So from okay, we were trying to get ready for school, and I was impatient, feeling triggered about the fear of being late and not on time. Yeah, for something. Yeah. Okay. This leads me to the next point, which is being with. And sorry, let me just check with you if you can see. Yeah, I think I'm not sharing that again. Okay, let me try that. So what I will do, let me just ask my expert to come and help.
Violeta, maybe
Yeah.
just a question, and then mummies, while you sort that out, the mummies and daddies can answer. It's
Yeah.
about, can you repeat the question that you had on that
Yeah.
slide?
Basically, the time when you didn't react to your child the way that you wanted to, and kind of what happened for you in that moment.
Mm-hmm. So maybe parents, you can share with us.
Yes.
So Violeta, I'm not sure if you can read it, but we have one mom who says the everyday struggle of getting him to have a bite of his meal. So, difficult eater. Another one says my trigger is fatigue, just being so tired physically and then having to deal with a toddler that's not cooperating.
Yeah.
Makes me my patience. And then getting ready for school, and I was impatient, feeling triggered about the fear of being late and not on time for something.
Yeah, these are all very valid, and thank you for sharing that. Which brings me to the next concept from COSP, which is being with. Can you see that well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So being with is basically being emotionally present with your child's feelings and understanding that their emotions, what their emotions are before we try to fix or discipline them. When we be with, we create a relationship where feelings are shared, and they're not just tolerated but also accepted. And it's not a technique, but it's a state of mind. It's a way of showing empathy to our child. And so we will talk about these things that you guys raised in just a minute. Before we get there, I want to help you see how that concept of being with applies in our situation of the crying child that just wants to connect with us. So what we know is that they're crying, they're at the bottom of the circle, and they want to connect with us. We know that through reflection that we're feeling a lot of guilt. And we know that a lot is happening for us right now. So what we need to do is take a moment and be with. The way that this looks is you stop. You go down on her eye level and say, I understand that you are very frustrated. It's very hard that mommy has to leave. I wish I could stay with you now, but unfortunately I have to go. I will miss you, and I know you will miss me too. But I will be back home. Do you want a hug? And so when we do that, what we basically do for our child is make sure that they understand that we are there for them, that we stay with them. And, your child may get down on the floor. I think someone gave that example, right? Starts kicking and, wow, complaining and crying. And you just stay there with her through that. And then before you know it, she will be calm again. And she may even get to a point where she's waving you goodbye and behave as if nothing has happened. I want to tell you that all of this, I understand how hard it is. And I know that probably many of you are thinking, yeah, I wish it was that easy. But this is personal. This is exactly what happened to me. This is a situation that happened to me. And it was in the morning when I was going for my COSP training, for my circle security parenting training. I was so overwhelmed because my daughter was, crying, and she was, complaining, and she clearly didn't want me to leave. And then I decided to be with. I understood what was happening for me. I sat down with her on the floor as she was kicking and pounding and crying and screaming, and I just waited. I tried to touch her. She didn't want to be touched, so I didn't touch her, but I just sat down with her. And she was around that time, she was 1.5 years old. So she couldn't really understand, if me trying to use big words, but even then, they feel your presence, they feel your empathy, they feel that you will be there through that difficult emotion with them. So I also want to kind of tell you that you will not get it right all the time. And the video mentioned that, I've mentioned that before as well. There are ways and things that we can do in order to be able to be with. But also, if we fail to do that, there is what we call repairing. And repairing is all about restoring that connection between you and your child after a moment of understanding, conflict, and disconnect. I know that maybe you are in a hurry, maybe you can't cancel that, maybe you leave, and that's okay. You can repair that. But what is important is that we recognize those moments that need repair. Acknowledge that it's a misstep, apologize if it's needed, and then reconnect. This teaches them that relationships can endure challenges and that open communication is key to help them resolve issues. We are all very busy, and sometimes we get to be very distracted too. So if there are a million things in your head, you will obviously not be able to be there for them all the time. But what we can do about that is set time to be with your child and focus solely on them. Quantity is not as important as quality. Remove the phone, remove distractions, just be with them. And sometimes they will not know. When you do that, when you are able to be with them, actually you may just fill up their cup in 15 minutes or so, in 30 minutes or so. And there is actually a lot of research that shows exactly that kids, when we focus on them extensively, we fill their cup and they're okay to go and explore and not need us so much all the time. Also, we need to manage our personal stress because we live, unfortunately, in times of a lot of stress. Our attention is required all the time. We have a million things we need to take care of. But when we feel stressed, that impacts our ability to respond to our kids calmly. And so we need to practice self-care. We need to find ways to distress and decompress. You know how when you fly, they tell you in case of emergency, put your mask first? Yeah, you have to do that in parenting as well. In order to take care of your emotional needs, your kids' emotional needs, you need to take care of your emotional needs too. Emotional needs too. So I know that guilt may come strong, but go do that massage or yoga class or run or a party or whatever it is that makes you de-stress and decompress. And so I know that we don't have much time, so I would just want to tell you a little bit about why COSP makes a difference. And I'm really coming from a place of personal experience because it really changed my life and how I relate to my daughter. Because it allowed me to see things differently. Instead of, I mean, I know we all ask ourselves that question, what does this child want from me, right? In those overwhelming moments. But when we ask that question, we end up feeling lost, not in control, and we see we see all their behaviors as random. Instead of that, COSP allows us to ask a different question, which is, what does my child need? And then that makes us feel much more empowered. It makes us feel much more in control. And it brings predictability. And predictability helps us to deal with those difficult moments. Oh, okay, she's doing that again. I know how to react to that. At the end of the day, what COSP does is helps you build deep trusting relationship with your child. It helps them understand and manage their emotions. It teaches them communication skills through you because you show them how to communicate and how to be empathic. Kids end up becoming more resilient. And this is a framework that is based on a lot of research, but also is flexible to your own needs. And through that reflection, that COSP really, encourages you improve your own patterns as a parent. And of course, you join a very supportive community of parents where you have people cheer you on and say, yeah, I'm facing the same, it's such a struggle. We are running, Mahima and I, my colleague, she's amazing. She specializes in attachment theory. She has 15 years of experience. The two of us are leading a course soon. It's a program, not a course. Starts next Saturday for 8 sessions and runs until 30th of November in the morning, 9 to 10:30. We have a group of 8 people. So we still have a few slots left. So if you are curious about that, let me know. I will just leave here my and the clinic's details that you can reach out to learn more. And whether you want to be part of the group or not, you can still drop me a line with things you're facing, issues that you have. I'll be more than happy to help however I can. And so maybe it's now time to open for Q&A. I hope we have a little bit more of time to do that.
Yeah, Violeta, we have some questions actually in the chat.
Okay.
Maybe stop sharing.
Yes, yeah. Let me figure this out. Okay, here, there we go. All right. Okay, so can you maybe help me with the questions? Because I feel like I lost a few.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that was from
What if my child is very young and yet? That's a tricky one. And these young people are almost like adults trapped in the body of a toddler, and they feel so much, they see so much, but they can't express their feelings or what they.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's very tricky because it's very hard, right? We need to tune in and we need to understand without actually giving verbal cues. And so I fully get that. It's a very relevant thing. But actually, if you look through the lens of the circle, your child is always showing you what they need. If they are, we see that even in infants, the way that an infant is on the top of the circle is when they look away, right? This is their I want to explore, right? I want to be out there. So what we do is we don't, get on top of them. We don't hold them. We don't pull them to us, right? We let them explore. And when they come back to us is when they are on the bottom of the circle, right? When they're looking at us, that means, and very often if you observe infants, when they feel distressed, they look for you, right? They always look for you. And so this is when we actually go in. we pick them up, we take care of them. So your child doesn't necessarily need to be verbal for you to understand what they need. Just think about the circle. Think about the circle.
Okay, amazing. Then we have, how do you do this when the child is screaming and hysteric, refusing to come to you, is all sweaty, crying for a good 10 to 15 minutes?
Yes, okay, that's a very good one. Yes, and I'm sure that we have all been there. So let's think about it. What is happening for your child in that moment? They're at the bottom, very clearly at the bottom of the circle, right? And I would actually love to hear a little bit more about that situation so we can understand kind of what exactly is happening. But I imagine that if this has been going on for 10, 15 minutes, it's like the child was frustrated and it just went worse and worse and worse and worse, right? Until it gets to a point, this is what we call a meltdown, right? The difference between a tantrum and a meltdown is that with tantrum, you see that the child is not emotionally dysregulated, right? They're like, they want something, right? So we see that when we set boundaries, right? And then, Mom, no, I don't want, or whatever it is, right? You can see that they can regulate their emotion if you distract them. With the meltdown, which is what is described here, there is no regulation, right? They have already gone to the top. Now, one option would be to pick up the child and hold them. Now, I imagine that sometimes at that point, kids don't want to be picked up, right? They just push you away and they're just like completely dysregulated. Just picking them up would not be helpful. So what we need to do is sit down with them, just where they are, be with them, and just say, it's okay, Mama or Papa is here. We'll go through this. I understand you are frustrated. And they'll be like, no, stay with that. Very often we feel very triggered and we feel very scared of our kids' emotions. But when we get scared, this makes them feel even more scared because they look to us to be able to hold that, right? To hold that emotion. And so we need to show them that we are calm. And I know it's hard. I know it's really, really hard. But you try. You try, and maybe first time doesn't work. Maybe second time doesn't work. You keep trying. At some point, you will be able to do that, right? And sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. But after a while, your child will calm down. You don't leave the room because in that way you show them like you're not there, right? You stay in the room. You don't touch them if they don't want to be touched. You don't talk to them if they don't want to be talked at. You just stay. Sometimes just your presence is what they need. And I know that maybe I'm not giving you an answer that you would want, but I promise you that this works as long as you try it consistently.
I think consistency is one of the biggest things with parenting, and boundaries. Yes, you can go to this party and then the next day you can't. And they just can't understand if you're not consistent. Anyways, moving on to the next. My toddler likes to scream and shout for fun, making loud noises. And when we tell him to stop and use his soft voice, he looks at us with defiance and shouts even more. How can I deal with this behavior in a positive way and without using threats?
Yeah. Okay. So when we tell him, okay, and use his soft voice, okay. Can I just ask, how old is your child? Because I'm just wondering if they are, he's 4. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's a very good question. They're screaming, they're shouting, you're telling them, don't do that, use your soft voice. So what you can do is talk about emotion. I'm wondering if the child is screaming because there is an emotion there, right? And it could be an emotion, you're saying that it's for fun, right? But sometimes it may look like they are enjoying that because they're getting your attention, right? But that might not be actually it. It might be that they are maybe frustrated or maybe they're actually just excited. So it's good for us to reflect back to them what we think their emotion is. So let's say, oh, I see that you are very excited, if we think that this is the emotion they have, right? I see that you're very excited. Okay, let's maybe jump up and down, right? You redirect that behavior with a different behavior. But by also being there and helping them understand what it is that they feel. So it's excitement. How do we show excitement in a more productive way? Or if it is anger, right? Maybe just like hold something and squeeze it very tight, right? To help them take out this anger.
Okay, I've got one last question for you, which is actually Manju, who would like to unmute herself. Manju, are you still on the call? Feel free to use the mic.
Yes. Hi, yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can.
We see you.
Great. Hi, Violeta.
Hi.
I've been asking questions on this topic for weeks now on the Bump Voice group because we're having a lot of struggles at home. And I thought instead of typing disparate questions, I'll just put them together. So I was the one who asked about the helper and also about how do you manage it when the child is hysteric. So we've got a couple of things happening at home. We've got a new baby. And on top of that, my helper who has been with my toddler since he was 3 months old has just left us. So we've got a lot of changes happening at home. And it's been very difficult managing his meltdowns and some of the things that I guess are triggers for myself and my husband. And we're trying to apply gentle parenting methods and we read up on secure attachment and all of that a lot. And yet it's very triggering when he does things like, he runs to the baby and he screams so that the baby wakes up. And those are the times that we feel like we, can't quite reason with him anymore. We have to remove him from the place. And then he goes, why? He's 2.5, by the way, for context. He's like, why? And then he starts crying. And he has this habit of going, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. Or if you take something away from him, he'll be like, oh, I don't want this anyway. I don't want it anymore. And I think he's struggling a lot also because I'm a firm believer of the secure attachment philosophy. And since he was born, whenever he cries or, whenever he called out to us, we always ran to him. We co-sleep. So we've been kind of together, inseparable for a very long time. And suddenly there's a baby in the picture and I can completely get his emotions that, hey, one day things just changed for me and my mom's not with me all the time. I work from home every day. So that means I'm always with him as well. So, there's a major change in his life. And then on top of that, my helper has left as well. So I totally get where he's coming from. I just have no idea how we're going to manage all of this. So yeah, any tips would be great. We do a lot of talking. So we've sat him down, we've explained things to him about what's going on and how we're family. And Tita was just here working with us and she's left. He kind of comprehends it. He doesn't ask for her anymore because we have prepared him for a long time. But I still feel that, those are major changes in his life because when he needs something, he doesn't have that person to run to. Then mom and dad are busy with the baby. So where does he go,
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, congratulations on your baby. And I'm sorry to hear that you're struggling. It sounds like, yes, a lot has been happening. And all of these are major transitions that have just piled up at the same time. So it is very hard. I just want to point this out and really validate that, oh my God, this is a lot, right? It's great that you are doing all of these things. It's great that you are having conversations with him, that you're trying to set boundaries. I'm wondering, are you hiring a new helper?
We have one, but he hasn't quite, he's not.
It will take time.
Yeah.
So it will take time, definitely, because again, that's building a bond that takes time. But it's good that there is still someone there that he can go to. And look, the first thing that I would say, and I know that this is not probably a very helpful one, but you need to be patient because he is going through a lot, you are going through a lot, and all that change takes time. for him to get used to. It's great that you're having those conversations, and from everything that you're saying, it sounds like because he had such constant access to you, now he's more on the bottom of the circle, that he constantly is reaching out to you and wanting to have more, to be more in touch with you. So that definitely means that it will be a good idea to schedule times with him where you can just be him and you, without the baby, maybe without your husband, and maybe he can do the same with your husband, whereas you focus solely on him. And then when he comes in with a lot of, big emotions, tell him, right? Okay, you're feeling this and you're feeling that, and mama understands. And, we have our, I don't know, a swimming lesson together, or, we'll go to the pool this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to it. So kind of build something for him to look forward to that will be his time with you only, undisturbed, and, where he has all of your attention. But also just patience. And I understand that it's hard. And I understand that when your baby is sleeping, he goes there and shouts, you can set boundaries with him. And you can say, what do you think happens for the baby when you shout? The baby is sleeping, she or he wants to rest, right? How would you feel? And also ask him, what do you feel? Because I imagine that the moment he goes there and shouts, he's angry. He's probably angry that there is the baby now and he has to share you. I really like to use books to help kids go through transitions. And there are lots of great books out there where you just read about what it means to have a baby brother or sister. That can normalize things for the child.
That is actually a good, thank you for answering this question. Thank you, Manju, for asking it, because I think this is so relevant for a lot of our mamas here and dads here as well. I was actually going to pick that topic up of resources, what are specific for this situation, but also others where moms can maybe subscribe to an Instagram account and or follow Instagram accounts that are specific to Circle of Parenting, Circle of Security, and attachment theory and all of these things, to, I don't know, get positive input and know that we're not alone, and basically get little tidbits of, this is how I can be reflective, this is how I can deal with certain situations. I think there's good quality content out there, but I'd really love to hear that from you.
Yeah.
Then we can share it under the video as well when we post it on YouTube, and so moms have access.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe what I can do is I can create a list and send to you, and maybe you can share in the group. That maybe, yeah.
I would really love that. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's all we've got. I hope I didn't keep you too long. We did run over.
No. Yeah, apologies for that. Yeah.
all fine. We're super happy to have had many mums and dads on the call, and so thankful that you could share with us, Violeta. And yeah, we hope you all have a lovely day. And
you too.
Thank
you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.